Welcome back to FreightWaves Live at Home. Here with Paris Cole, the CEO of Truckstop.com. Paris, how are you?
I am doing great, Craig. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, certainly always exciting to talk to you at Truckstop and what you guys are doing. You have continued to roll out new innovations this year, whether it's the BookItNow product or some of the other innovations you guys have made to make the carriers and brokers' lives easier. I'm curious, what is the most exciting thing you guys have done this year so far?
Oh, without a doubt, it's been the rollout of Book It Now. For us and for our customers, I think there's so much opportunity for value, both for our brokerage and 3PL customers as well as our carrier customers. And for us, this really sets up the future for us in terms of what we want to do and the types of value that we want to provide. So we're really excited about that, and here very shortly we'll be rolling out more products, more features that will complement this first phase of Book It Now.
Now, Book It Now is interesting because it's really moving. It moves the truck stop network or the truck stop load exchange into more of a firm marketplace or more of a marketplace where more of the consummation of the transaction happens. I'm wondering, how do your brokerage customers feel about that, and how do you guys plan on continuing to empower them?
Yeah, it's been very well received from our brokerage customers thus far, because for 25 years now, and we're celebrating our 25th year this year, so I have to throw that out. We're excited about that. But for 25 years, we've been helping our brokerage customers be able to find capacity or to find carriers that were maybe difficult to find, or they weren't able to attract in the way that we are with our marketplace. And so with Book It Now, we're able to make it easier for our brokerage customers to connect with those carriers. We've done an extensive amount of surveying of our carrier customers over the last couple of years and have found that they really would prefer not to negotiate. They would prefer just to have the ability to be awarded freight at the click of a button. And so with Book It Now, we allow them to do that. And so it makes it easier for our brokerage customers because now they're not fielding as many phone calls as they were in the past. And the phone calls that they are having today are much more focused on the actual transaction rather than talking with multiple carriers to figure out which carrier is the best one to provide that freight to. So so far it's been nothing but well accepted, and like I say, there's more features that we'll be adding to increase the value to our brokerage customers as well as to our carrier customers in the future.
So one of the things that I have always heard, and I'd like to get your take on this, is brokers have a reputation of making money by an opaque market. Their ability to negotiate. This changes that for them. How do you answer that, and how are you guys helping them sort of respond to a new age in transportation?
Yeah, and I guess I would maybe argue that opaque isn't necessarily better. If you think about the total cost of moving a load, it's not just the rate, but it's also the amount of time that it takes to move that freight. So when you think about the overhead necessary to move a load, it could be much greater. And so with Book It Now, we help eliminate some of that inefficiency, eliminate some of that overhead, so that the overall total cost to a brokerage can be less than what it is today. And so today on our load board, we have a number of brokers that post rates on their load and without the Book It Now functionality. And we know from our research that those loads that have rates move 6 times faster than loads that don't have rates. And so for us, as we think about Book It Now, it's really nothing new other than the fact that the carrier now can take that freight with less phone calls or less interaction with the broker. And again, we think it's more efficient for the carrier and for the broker as well.
Yeah, I mean, the market is heading to a more transparent marketplace. That's been a fact that's really existed for the last decade. Is the idea of making money because of it's an opaque market is probably over time going to be less of a factor. I always use the analogy of the financial markets and the financial exchanges, where 20 years ago this was all floor traded and public call out inside these pits, and you've seen them probably on movies or have visited them. Whereas now these are mostly electronic. You know, the idea that a broker is making the decisions on your behalf is largely a thing of the past for trading. And but they're doing fine. I mean, E-Trade and Merrill Lynch are certainly doing exceptionally well, but they're not making as much on really doing the traditional transaction and phone call work. And I suspect that's what freight will look like. Is that your vision as well?
That is. I think over time, as both our brokerage and 3PL customers and the carrier community and carrier customers become more accustomed to this type of functionality, I think we'll continue to see it be adopted over time. And we know that not only from our own research, but others. We have a number of our customers today that offer similar functionality for their core or contracted freight. So the concept really isn't new, other than now we're extending it into the spot market freight, which typically has not had this type of functionality in the past.
You guys had an eventful year last year. 19, you received outside investment from Iconic Capital, a firm that has its heritage in some of the most important and iconic, no pun intended. I did not mean that, by the way. That was unintentional. It just rolled out. But some of the most iconic names in Silicon Valley have funded the firm, and now they've invested in Truckstop. What has that meant for the organization?
For us, we're just ecstatic to have Iconic as a partner. As you mentioned, they had their start from some of the most preeminent product and software executives in the world, and the fact that they would choose us, really gives us additional confidence in the roadmap that we're taking, and also gives us additional support as we think about our marketplace and allowing this additional functionality, whether it's through BookItNow or some of the other enhancements that we'll be bringing out over the months and years to come. And so with that experience behind us and that capital behind us, it means not only great things for Truckstop, but more importantly, great things for our customers. One of the unique things about Iconic, and part of the reason why we decided to go with them instead of other firms, is really their product focus. They were one of the few firms that we talked with that really asked us a lot of questions about our product. They wanted to see our product roadmap. They wanted to get an understanding of our customer experience and what we were doing to make changes and improvements there, and a number of different things. Whereas other companies were maybe just focused on our financial performance. And so that to us, and it's played out as we thought. The Iconic team has been very focused over the past year that they've been investors in the business. They've been very focused on our product, and it's something that we talk about in every board meeting. So it's a great boost for us.
You've added a ton of resources on the engineering team and have scaled your team. And is that really driven by having new investors at the board that understand the need to invest in product?
That is. That was one of the unique things as we started talking with Iconic and getting through the process. We approached them with this idea that we wanted to make a pretty sizable investment in our product and development teams. And to Iconic's credit, they were all for it and were very supportive and have been supportive since. And so we have essentially doubled the size of our product and development teams in-house, and then we've augmented that with a number of contract positions as well. And so when you look across the number of resources that we have today, it's drastically different than it was even just a year ago.
Yeah, I hear on occasion people are like, I wonder if truck stop's ever going to move into a freight brokerage business. And I always respond that's one of the most ludicrous statements I've ever heard, because if you know about valuations of recurring revenue platform businesses, and frankly, how well you guys did during that transaction versus 3PLs, it's just a completely different game. So it strikes me that there's zero interest in doing that, but there is an opportunity for a truck stop to position itself as a financial or a marketplace where transactions take place, very similar to NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange.
That's right. We get asked that question with some regularity if we're going to become a brokerage, and I can say unequivocally we have no plans to do that. It just doesn't make sense for a number of reasons. One of which is my hat goes off to all of our 3PL and brokerage customers. They work 24 hours a day, 365 days a week, whereas as a technology company, I'm not getting phone calls in the middle of the night, asking where a truck is, so it's just a completely different setup, and the way that we're structured organizationally, and just our expertise and whatnot is really not set up to ever become a brokerage.
Now, Parrots, I can empathize with you there. I have been in freight before. I've taken those late night phone calls. Associate David Bradford, who works on our team, and I joke that being at FreightWaves is much like being in freight without service failures. We get to be in the market, but we don't have to do the hard work of dealing with all the things that the folks that are in freight have to deal with, and we commend them. COVID has certainly impacted the freight market, and I think if anyone doesn't understand the importance of supply chain and logistics before COVID and the inventory stockouts that we saw in March and continue into April, hopefully they'll have a much greater appreciation for it going forward. How are you guys at TruckStop helping your freight brokerage customers deal with COVID-19 and the current economic and market cycle that we're in?
Yeah. There's a few different ways that we're trying to help our customers. One is by providing them real-time information about what's happening in our marketplace. If you look at what's happened in the spot market over the last 4 months, it's unprecedented. We saw this build up really starting in January from December numbers, and that's not completely atypical, but this year was a little bit more than typical seasonality. And we saw that trend building throughout the year, and then we get to March, and for the first 3 weeks or so of March, you see this just explosion of freight in the spot market. And then since that time, since about the middle of February, or excuse me, middle of March, you see a drastic decline, a decline that that I have not seen in my time here at TruckStop, and going back and looking at '08 and '09 numbers, really didn't see anything of a similar pattern during that time either. So it's really unprecedented time, this massive spike and then subsequent decline. So we're trying to provide that information to our customers, help them understand what's happening there. Another thing that we're doing is we're trying to bring together different parts of the industry to help our customers understand what's happening. We recently just had a panel with and partnering with FreightWaves, so thank you for that partnership. But we were able to bring together professionals not only from the industry, but outside the industry as well. Health experts and economists. Our economist Noel Perry was on the panel, and really helped provide sort of a complete picture as to what they're seeing and what we think is going to happen going forward. So there's a number of different ways that we're trying to provide that support. And then as well, we've also offered discounts to both existing customers and then new customers as well, and tried to provide information to them that typically would be at a cost, but for a limited period of time, as they try to manage through this challenging period, we're offering services to them at either a discounted price or a completely free price as well. So it's just absolutely incredible the partnership that we're able to bring to bear for our customers.
Yeah, Paris, we're also excited to work alongside TruckStop and providing resources, being a partner in providing our platform services and analytics during this period of time. And I commend you guys for really not only working with us, but really you rallied a number of other companies in the space to really step up at this time and help out the freight community whose job is critical.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. We really appreciate our partnership with FreightWaves, but then as well other partners such as FTR and ATBS and others have all participated in this program, and so really grateful for them and the services that they're providing to all of our mutual customers.
Sure. So, do you think we're at the bottom of the market? I mean, not have we seen the bottom, I should say. Do you think that we're at a point where we're going to start seeing a level of increase from here, or do you think we have another leg to fall?
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is what we're seeing in our marketplace is that the volume of freight is starting to level out. So as I mentioned earlier, we saw a steep decline from about the middle of March, really until just a couple weeks ago, and that has leveled off in terms of volume. But we are starting to, or we still continue to see rates decline. Other than reefer rates, that has seemed, at least for a week or so, that's starting to tick back up. And not sure if that will stay that way. You know, one week is not a trend, but it's at least encouraging for that segment of freight that rates have at least stopped their steady decline. For the other modes, I don't know yet. I hope we're near a floor on rates. It's tough to go much lower than where they're at already. So I don't think there's a whole lot more to give on that end, but we'll see. We haven't seen the bottom yet.
Yeah, rates are always a lagging indicator to volume. Volume's got to come back first. It's got to take care of those contractual commitments, and then we can see spot rates increase. Which I believe, we've said this publicly, that we believe that the worst is over with. That probably took place the week after Easter. The second week of April. And our view is that the market will accelerate, and so we'll see where it goes. Not really a commentary on spot rates. They're still sort of struggling. Your economist shares a view that I have. Noel Perry says that there will be a lot of consolidation in the market, potential bankruptcies in the carrier market, and spot rates should accelerate if that takes place. Do you share his view, or do you have different points of view?
I do. What I don't know, and it'll be interesting to see, is as the states start to open back up, how quickly is the ramp? I know in Idaho, for example, there's a 4-stage process, and each stage is incumbent upon certain metrics being met, similar to what's happening in the federal government. So the governor has said that if the metrics are met, then he'll open up more businesses. If they're not, then he's going to keep in place some of the stay-at-home orders that exist today. And so my personal opinion is that I think the worst is behind us, that we'll start to see states open up over the next few weeks here in May. But I don't know how fast. That's really the question, I guess. In my mind, is how fast does it open up? Are there some states, in particular, some of the larger states, New York, Illinois, being two of them, if they start to go backwards in terms of the number of cases or the number of deaths, do the governors there extend the stay-at-home orders? And if enough of those large states are slow, even though other more rural states are opening up, it may have a significant impact to the entire industry. So we'll see. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I think it will get better. But for me, it's just how soon.
Yeah, it's unprecedented times. Historical models just aren't very useful right now. You have to really interpret what's happening and use a lot of real-time data to get there. Paris, I want one bold call from you for the next decade. What is the greatest innovation that's going to happen? Or just a bold call generally about freight and trucking over the next decade. What are you expecting to see?
A bold call. You put me on the spot here a bit, Craig. But I think that we will continue to see both the brokerage and carrier segments of the industry grow. I know some people think that brokerage is going to decline over the next 10 years. I don't see that happening at all. I think there may be some consolidation, but in total, the brokerage industry is going to continue to grow through the next 10 years. I would love to see us get away from some legacy technology. I'd love that to be my bold prediction, but unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. So we'll have to save that for maybe next year and see if we'll be ready to move away from some of these old standards that are keeping the industry behind.
I would guess the AS400 in 2030, when you walk into some trucking companies, they will still have an AS400, and the people that have been there for many, many years will know all the keystrokes and will refuse to use the GUI interfaces that these trucking companies have tried to move them to. So that's my bold call. I think the AS400 we're stuck with that thing until the end of time. They will still be dispatching spaceships on that AS400 in 20 decades.
Yeah. I would love to see us move away from EDI technology, for example. That would be one that I think, if we could move to truly an API economy and we could pass information, data back and forth between partners or between providers and suppliers. I think that, providers and customers, that would do a tremendous amount for the industry. But unfortunately, it's a big lift, and it takes all parties to do it sort of all at once. So I think it's going to be a while before that happens.
Yeah, we're still subject as an industry to what the shippers ultimately want to do. And there's very few shippers, frankly, that can actually force a change on our industry. So it takes a while. Paris, really appreciate you participating in FreightWaves Live at Home. Congratulations on really a good start for 2020. Rollout of new products, whether it's BookItNow or what you guys are planning. We're excited to see innovations come from truckstop.com this year, and excited to see what you guys have planned to roll out.
All right. Well, thank you. Stay tuned. Lots more to come this year, but I really appreciate the time, Craig. It's been great.
Well, we'd love to have you back on FreightWaves TV on a regular basis to get updates and also talk about the innovations that are happening around the industry. Your point of view as a platform as a service business gives you a almost unmatched perspective on what both your customers and the marketplace is doing. So really excited to have you, Paris. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming to FreightWaves Live at Home. We're certainly excited about the next couple of days of content. We've got some really awesome demos still ahead, so don't forget about that. Also, don't forget about all the great talks that we have with some of the titans of industry. And so we're certainly excited about that. And don't miss, Zach Strickland and I are going to face off in the great debate. The question is, have we seen the lows in the freight market, and are we going to see acceleration? I am the bull. He is the bear. We will see. I will say, though, Zach, I have batting 100% and you're batting 0. So we'll see where you end up in this. Find out on Thursday during the great debate. Paris, thank you so much for being here today.
All right. Thank you.